Hey everybody, welcome once again to our Creative Conversations or Creative Acadiana series here at Acadiana Center for the Arts. My name is Jaik Faulk. I'm the Visual Arts Director here, and this is part of our, oh gosh, take a moment and silence your phones, everybody. Let me be a good citizen too. Okay, there we go. Anyway, thanks for coming, y'all. This is one of my favorite parts of our series here in at ACA. This is in partnership with our community engagement department, and it's their Creative Acadiana series. It's funded by LFT Fiber, so thank you, LFT Fiber. And we do a number of talks throughout the year. And today I have Rush Jagoe, who is a Renaissance man, we'll say. A photographer, a bookbinder, commercial photographer. What do you call it? It's not necessarily commercial, but like, I mean, like you.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. So you work on a lot of, Rush works on a lot of assignments with various magazines and also on film shoots as well. And recently he's bought and invested in a barge which he uses to reclaim cypress, sinker cypress from Lake Marquardt. So like, again, like this very wide range of what I call practices, you know, and they all kind of inform what he does, especially when we think of the title of the show, Parables on Production, this idea of production writ large. Hey, y'all, come on in. So, come on in, y'all. So we're here with Rush Jagoe, and Rush, welcome.
Thank you.
Did that sound like a fair assessment of?
Sounded very accurate.
All right. So let's get into it. When we were setting up the show, your dad came and he was here for the opening, which was really amazing. And he was looking at this piece right here. He was like, "Oh wow, this is why this makes sense that you went to Penland School in School for the Arts in
School of Crafts. Yeah.
School of Crafts
in North Carolina.
In North Carolina. I had no idea you started your studies there, or you spent a lot of time there?
I was just there for a little bit. I went to photojournalism school for a year in Kentucky, and then was like, I can't live in Kentucky anymore. Grew up there. Go out of here. And I moved up to the Catskills for a while and farms. Had all these photojournalism friends in New York. After that, I didn't want to go live in New York. I'm like, it's too cold. And then I was like, so then I was like, well, North Carolina, there's all these cool artists. Maybe I could move down there and get work. And went to Penland. And met a friend there from Grand Coteau, Elspeth Schultz. Some of you may know her. She was like, you should move to New Orleans with me. You're going to love it. Yeah. I was like, okay. And that was 2008.
Yeah. And now you've been here ever since, right? Kind of at least bouncing around.
Yeah, I lived in New Orleans and down-the-bayou, and I live here.
Nice.
In various times, in different places.
Right on. What drew you here, like at that point? Was it just the kind of like the community, or the sort of like?
I mean, I was just open to anything. And Elspeth and I just got along really well, and she was like, I think you would really like it. I didn't know a lot about it here before that. You know, I had been with like the Boy Scouts and drove down once when I was like 18 to New Orleans, but like, that was pretty much my experience. And then I got here and I was like, I remember my, whatever MapQuest directions printed out or wrote down were for to go to Grand Coteau, and showed up there, and I was like, wow, this place is really nice. Like, where am I? And then we found a spot in New Orleans, and just started baking in slowly.
Yeah. Now, when so if you would have gotten here in 2008, it was pretty quickly after that the film industry really was popping and moving, and there was like a lot of energy there. Did you dial into that and like immediately, or
no, I didn't really know what I was kind of honestly avoiding commercial photography in different ways, and like that's why I was like, I'm gonna be a farmer, I'm gonna do these different things, I'm just gonna hustle. But then I kind of wound up like in a family at a pretty young age, and needed to make more money, and that kind of coincided with the BP oil spill. And I'd been photographing down the bayou a lot the whole time already. My wife was from down there, and I just knew the community well, and so I already knew all these people with Wall Street Journal and New York Times and everything from just being around my photojournalism friends, and they're like, Rush. So I started shooting a lot, and then that turned into magazine work. I didn't like doing journalism. It was hard. I felt like the people I was photographing weren't aware of the repercussions on their life that the work I was doing was having. And so I started doing more editorial work and got pretty successful with that, but then really won an award when I was like 23 that got me basically a rep in New York for commercial photography. And so then I was 5 years all the time doing ad agency work and that sort of stuff, flying around the world, doing a lot of magazine work.
Right on. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
And now you still do a part of that, but then it really is the Sinker Cypress kind of excursion that's taking up a lot of your kind of creative energies, as well as kind of working on this stuff. I mean, when we visited, gosh, it must have been 18 months ago, if not longer. You had ideas for all this stuff. Can you talk about maybe like the span of time of this body of work? I know that one is 2008 until like today, really.
Yeah, and that's kind of the idea of this one, is it tells like, my first impressions of the culture here, and like the stuff that I was really finding myself drawn to and interested in, and then how that evolved over time. It's like, it's like, the first picture is my first Easter, and that's it. In the swamp behind Jen and Neil Nervass's house over there. It's just, I was like, still just so enchanted by this place. We got stuck in a rainstorm and ruined my camera. And then it's just like, it evolves and like it grows, and that's what this is showing, those impressions. I feel like, from what it's then this third picture is Little Bayou Caring Crow which is by our 4-League Bay, like all the way down at the Gulf on the east side of the Atchafalaya Basin, basically the marsh in there. And once I finally started getting to places like that, I'm like, I feel like I'm starting to like really get to know this place as like, basically my awareness of the physical world like starts to take shape.
Yeah, and that's the one with the deer.
The deer, yeah.
That's kind of sad.
And that's also where like that little houseboat, or you can't call it houseboat, the several of the deer hunting pictures are there. The deer hanging, the small shrimp boiling photo from inside the camp, and the old nylon 66 22 rifle that all the trappers used to use across North America.
Do you hunt?
I like hunt sometimes. I'm like very sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like cried a lot the first time I killed a deer when I was like 8, and then still have come back and forth. I like,
Yeah. What do you do with the sinkers?
Well, nothing now, because after I got deeply into it, I realized the state had made it illegal.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, now it's like basically an art studio, but I'm trying to find a way to get through that.
Did you say Lake Marpon?
Yeah.
That's up around my old stomping grounds. St. Charles Parish and stuff, so. And speaking of hunting, we used to do a lot of hunting back in the marsh between Canada and Lake Marquardt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, spend a lot of time over there these days.
And so actually this sculpture comes from that barge. So the barge is fully formed in the black and white image.
I'll interrupt you for a second. There's two barges.
Two barges.
So blue and red, which maybe if you, the caption here, like, you know, last year I went to film some irises in the Marpole Swamp, and then I wound up with blue and red. And those are the barges from this family I've been known for like 10 years or whatever at that point. We've been visiting. And Dennis, who built them and learned to do all this, had passed away. And I started growing up with his daughter, Tammy Lynn. And then, yeah, Tammy Lynn was like, Rush, we're in Mississippi. You wanna do this? I'm like, well, I can't afford to keep two barges. She's like, you can make money. And I'm like, but it was like, you know, it was like a big house, two 60-foot steel barges, diving setup, the knowledge of their business, you know, everything, and, you know, just like, wanted like $5,000, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is worth trying, you know, and that, this one, the red barge, has always been like my dream.
Yeah.
I'm obsessive with boat design, so that's how I got into the sinker cypress to begin with, was from wooden boats. Learning to build wooden boats to get out to, you know, the barrier islands and these places.
Yeah. Now the design, so the boat design is kind of, you're talking about Dennis, you said?
Dennis, yeah.
And Dennis was designing the boats?
Well, so one of them, the big one in the picture over here, was like some sort of dredge tender. I don't know. It was a oil field thing, and the other one he built from scratch, from like all kinds of things, and that's what this came off of, blue. That one's fallen apart a little worse, and it never ran with the inboard, so it was like, you know, that had been out for years, but it was so cool that he had put a prop and done a whole rudder and everything.
So it was kind of like a conceptual art piece. It was like it was intended for one thing, but it exists for.
He tried everything. He had a third grade education. He couldn't read or write. And he would just charge into everything and figure it out in the most incredible way, diving in the most dangerous places you can imagine in Louisiana, and just searching and running.
So so you got diver trained and.
Should get diver trained.
So, what's that experience like, diving into the lake and?
It's like all I want to make art about now, but it's really hard to. It's really hard to figure out. It's incredible to just get to experience the swamp the way it was, the cypress forests the way they were before they were all cut down.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you're down there and sometimes you can see from here to here, sometimes you can see from here to here.
Yeah.
As soon as you touch the bottom, you can't see anything. But like you're just crawling along the roots, and then you get to the top of the stump, and you're like, oh, how big is this one going to be? And it might be a stump like this. It might be 8 feet across.
So
hollow in the middle.
So you're still mapping the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
With hundreds of cypress stumps.
Yeah.
So you basically are getting a sense, a very close sense of like how vast that used to be.
And just how big the grandeur of it. Yeah, these trees are just gigantic.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing.
Do you have an idea or knowledge of the time frame of when they were harvesting from there?
Yeah, well, I think most of the state got cut like the mid 1800s to the 1920s,
Okay.
pretty much.
Yeah,
Even further
that's-
into the 1800s than that, maybe.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, there was smaller scale harvesting, but then it became a huge business, and all kind of happened at once, which is why there's so many trees down there, because it was just, state was like a giant log raft for a while.
Yeah, that's wild. I never thought about that. That it would be that vast, or that you could you could gather that from being down there. Because on the surface, all you're seeing is just lake, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was something there.
Yeah. Now you were talking about, bookbinding, and that you think of that it was rare to see your pieces up on a wall. That sometimes there's you tend to view things more as a book, more as like more of like a linear progression through pages. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, was that all from Penland, or you went to Penland in order to pursue something like that?
I think that was just from photojournalism.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because all of my favorite photographers I was hanging out with when I was younger, like they made books and they did long form documentary projects, and seeing that work and seeing how they evolved it was really inspiring to me. And just like the narrative form of photography, I think that's what, one picture can do a lot, but then it's just such a new language to be able to create a sequence from something that feels like reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's really cool to play with that.
Yeah.
Now that they are like this, do you think of them differently?
I do think it's nice because I feel like I've been able to articulate it differently, but it just makes me want to keep pushing in certain areas, because that's what it's, I feel like I just don't present a lot to like making art and then I'm making money doing commercial art or whatever, so it's like, then actually it makes me want to just keep building the book. Man, I put this up and I told Jaik, I was like, I want the book to go all the way around the room now. It's like frustrating to see it in.
And then you had a very specific order of these when we set them up.
Oh yeah.
You had an idea of each of these pieces and in sequence. I'm curious about these darker ones and I guess the more shallow ones. You know what I'm saying? The ones that are more
the ones
scanner
that
head.
are flatbed scanner,
They're so different than any other photography I've really seen lately. Can you talk about those? How you came about that process of doing those?
I mean, I think just doing I always have my film scanner, and it's one of the annoying things in my little home studio because it takes up a lot of space and I just have too much stuff with all of the hobbies I do.
Yeah.
And okay, do I need to bring herbalism into the art studio? No, it's too much space. Maybe it does need to be in there. It's always that negotiation. And wait, sorry, I got it.
So just talking about the process of
getting there.
I
just want to use what I have, basically. So it's like, this is my film scanner. I want to make a different type of image. Trying to figure it out is always hard, especially representing ideas in nature. Very rarely do I make the photographs where I feel share what I want to share from that space. And a lot of times that drives me to painting instead of photography. But this has been really, really fun just because you can get so much detail too, but then the depth is so limited that it kind of plays with you in a strange way when you look at them up close. And I've just been enjoying it. So, and they're kind of personal, going into personal spaces and ideas, and being able to make more of a reflective thing instead of just finding it in the world feels good in that way.
Yeah, when you were talking about the process or the experience of being under the water and feeling things at a very close kind of thing, I was like, oh, these kind of make sense in that kind of shallow, arm's length kind of discovery.
Well, I got really excited with this one because that one, I went and found this milkweed. I was I'd made all of them except that one were made on the barge.
Okay.
This one. And, I went and picked a couple milkweed flowers. That hook was in a log right next to him, and then I brought the milkweed back, and then I realized, the caterpillar was on there, and I was like, okay, we'll see what we can do. And it's so fun to see the, digital artifacts and everything from moving around, and it made me immediately want to do so many things crawling on the scanner bed. And I'm excited to just, keep evolving that. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's true. It kind of like disintegrated, like the bright color just kind of has a vibration to it.
Or if you look at it close, just you can't even, it's totally abstracted at one end.
It's very interesting, the one right next to it too, that just kind of steel beam, high production. I mean, that is a vast landscape of
It's like
steel and
it's kind of also.
is that a refinery?
That's the Sabine Pass LNG plant under construction. From one of the big tanks on top of it. There for a job. And it was, it's just like these spaces, in the scope of like production and figuring out, what that means for me, making money, finding creative things in Sinker Cypress, or like making artwork for whatever reason that it feels important and understanding that. But then like on this scale, it's just like so much human creativity, and like that's like so much of this series I feel like is about like looking at like my impressions of what humans do and just like how interesting and beautiful it is, and like how we interact with the world, and you have like just an unfathomable amount of like brain power and creativity going into this thing that I feel like I'm a bit of a utopist, and I like to imagine or remind people that they can imagine any type of world, and everybody should try. So it's nice to remind people what we're capable of.
Yeah. And then the aged, I guess is that a lookout?
Those are like the surveying piers along South Pass in the Mississippi River. So the first and the last picture are both from the 40s. Lighthouse right there, South Pass.
Rush, I want to get back to your black background. So those were stuff that was done on your scanner. It wasn't in a camera. You placed it on the scanner.
Placed on the scanner, Takes like 30 minutes. Well, I'm scanning at pretty high res. It's fun to be able to blow them up.
Now, what about the filming on location? That's another part of it. I remember, so Rush had a piece that was in our exhibition on prairies, and it was the piece of the prairie was shifting, and it was during a burn that you had. It wasn't necessarily a time-lapse video, it was just kind of a still video that kind of captured it, and then layered it.
Olivia did really cool layering with some bison footage I shot.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Kentucky.
Where does that come in? The filming and the filmmaking part of it? Is it still?
It's just another, I feel like all mediums that go, and I'm a photographer, so I have all this equipment, and I'm well versed in using it. But that was, I've tried many times to go out and make like really good time lapses of irises in the swamp blooming, and never quite pull it off, and that was one of those years. But I think that was important to present just because it was the impetus to the whole Sinker Cypress barge, underwater world, which I had hoped to include more of in the show, but underwater photography is taking a little while to learn.
Yeah, I bet.
Doing like black and white film, underwater stuff. It's been really fun.
Yeah. experiences I've had of your work. That because it's so vast. I remember you were when we visited at your house long ago. You had made it was almost like a print, long print of a boat design, and it was like you were talking about boat design being like something you're really interested in, and you know, what other facets? I mean, you mentioned painting, printmaking, so it's a lot of processes, less than like a drawing. Do you use drawing as any part of your process?
Sometimes more technical drawing, because so much of it is like, you know, there's like actually putting it together like this, but a lot of it is really like me wanting to learn how to do stuff and like see how these people learn to do it and learn to do it with their tools and understand the world that way. So it's like drawing tends to be technical. It's like, yeah, but I do like that. But I tend to just go straight to painting whenever.
Yeah.
Just do acrylic.
And did that just come about naturally over the years, just being around artists, or
I've done it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think I started painting when I was probably 8 or 10 years old. And just started doing photography shortly after.
And you were surrounded by folks who made art.
Not like my mom really is an awesome painter and drawer, and she makes art, and that was important. But then my dad is a home builder, and he was like an obsessive designer, and that we would always be drawing his houses. And my grandfather did that too, but he was like the real impression of a certain type of artist. I mean, he was just very particular, and he like built his house out of multiple log homes that he put together to make this like kind of beautiful, architectural piece. And then, you know, at one point in his life, he kept over 300 bonsais. There's like 2 in the National Arboretum, and that he like one he grew out himself.
Wow.
So seeing that his processes and really understanding like plants and landscaping and things was really
That's cool.
inspiring too.
Yeah. And it's and you grew up in Kentucky.
Western Kentucky.
It's very interesting too that like you were the Catskills in New York, in that area, just kind of you were not into it, that you were just like, I gotta go further south. It's very interesting, and I think very special. Like a lot of people kind of like go to the coasts, or they go to Texas, or they go.
There's no sinker cypress in Catskill.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think I always wanted to live in the swamp too. Like I was even looking at as soon as Elspeth moved away after, you know, me and her boyfriend moved down here together, and husband now, and you know, I was already looking at like houses out in whatever Pearl River, and I was like, I can just go live out that way, and I did live in like a year and a half, basically live in Lower Lafitte.
Yeah. There was a, you guys might know, wasn't there I'm trying to remember, I believe there was an article or a book about a young couple. It was in the 60s or the 70s, and they had built a houseboat. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, like Gwen Rowland,
Are we all thinking the same thing? Okay. Now tell me, what is this? Was it an article or a book?
It was a book.
She wrote the book, and then LPP did a documentary, and then I think like CC Lockwood was always photographing them.
There you go.
National Geographic.
They lived down there. They lived there for a long time, and they were super young.
That's like I'm having images of that.
Until she was ready to leave his ass, then she was like, yeah.
Well, when you were thinking sinker cypress, were you thinking about doing photography about it, or going to dimension
commercial photography and you know, travel and do all that, I can make money off Sinker Cypress and then just be in Louisiana and make art and do the thing. So
We used to haul them out to mill them and, you know, use the wood,
yeah.
but I never thought of it as being sculptural.
Oh, sculptural. I didn't realize that's what you said. There's something else.
Yeah, but, you know, but it's hard.
Dennis made incredible sculpture pieces with it. He was known for that. Dr. John bought a lot of his furniture from this man. Like crazy, wild, small things. You would go pull up to his house that like the barge was outside of, and it'd be like just like all of these figures on the lawn of stacked stumps in different ways, and one that looked like E.T., and then hollow logs making aqueducts off the roof that poured water into the bayou.
Dr. John would like that.
It was incredible, yeah.
There was also John Gelder's used
John.
St Landry Parish.
Did he?
Made spirit clothes.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious, what kind of commercial photography were you doing?
Like everything. Like, yeah, I didn't really know anything about it, and then like I said, I got a rep whenever I was younger in New York, and they're basically like, you should do advertising. And I'm like, I just do documentary photography. What do you mean? They're like, no, you're perfect. It was like all of a sudden I'm doing like, you know, liquor brand campaigns and sprint ads and traveling around doing whatever. But it would always be like real people, you know, they want me to make people look real, and I'm good at that. Or using real subjects to you know, make advertisements, which is another challenge sometimes in that world.
So what is the influence of that on these? Do you consider these more of art photography, but there's bound to be a relationship between the two?
Yeah, I think the strongest relationship is probably just like the way I evolved visually. I think I would probably, I don't know how, I think most of my work would have been in this vein for a long time, and I never would have gotten into digital photography probably, like if I hadn't been working commercially. So just visually it would have looked a lot different, but I don't know. And I had to like figure out how to make pictures I like with digital camera, and they just look different than anything else I would have shot.
It seems like the reps, the amount of time spent with the camera in the hand would have been vastly less if you wouldn't have done commercial photography.
Yeah, but I almost never take pictures when I'm making this work. You know, I go out to Timbalia Island or whatever for 4 days and take 3 pictures.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
Wow.
yeah, so it's just really waiting. I mean, sometimes I'm on one and just, you know, you go to Queen Bess Island and it's like all the baby pelicans and everything. You can't stop taking pictures, man.
Yeah.
But,
So you have like an underlying motivation and purpose for these Louisiana imagery. I mean, are you going out to document? Sometimes it feels documentary almost.
yeah.
And are you trying to have a specific kind of documentary but artistic purpose?
I think I really just like let the intuition guide me to do that, and so maybe it's really fear-based because most of the places I love to photograph on the coast are already gone just from my time here, you know, and you can't usually camp on the same islands that you camped on a year ago, and it's just, you know, so it's like I have to get out there and make art, you know, while I can. So.
And I mean, you probably know Walter Anderson, right? I mean, these have not the quality of painting, but the feel of what you're trying to get at feels similar. The way that Walter Anderson built, you know, chained himself to a tree, and he always went on his boat. And anyway, it was a similar kind of vision almost, but totally different kinds of imagery.
Yeah, I guess I relate to enjoying those kinds of experiences of the world. Yeah. Nesting up on an island somewhere for a little bit.
And you did a lot of hiking and sort of outdoor stuff growing up as a Boy Scout, right?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time during the summers on sailboats. We had like a liveaboard sail program. We'd go down to Kentucky Lake and the Tennessee River and come back up and sail 250 miles or whatever, and that was really fun. They would just pack a bunch of boys onto these crusty old boats, and yeah.
Good luck.
Well, yeah, there was one boat to drag us all out of the way of the barge traffic before we get run over.
Yeah.
You know, you take your stuff and swim to shore at night and cook dinner, and wow, it's just fun. But I did a lot of that. Yeah, I was out in the woods constantly. That's really where I started taking pictures. Was where I grew up on. You know. Like I said, I was a sensitive hunter, so
Yeah.
easier to just take pictures.
Yeah.
Sounded a lot like my little brother. My little brother was a real sportsman, and he hunted and fished. He still does a lot of fishing and stuff, but at one point he just had this revelation that he had more fun shooting the animals with a camera than he had
Yeah.
shooting with a gun.
It's way harder.
I think you told me in a conversation that you shoot film, correct? And then you scan them and make the digital prints from them.
Yeah, like that's all film photography that's scanned.
That's why you can go out someplace and spend 4 days and only shoot maybe 3 or 4 images because of that experience of shooting film.
Yeah.
Whereas with digital, we might be,
Thousands.
anyway.
Yeah. I mean, this is a digital, and I think there's only 3 pictures